It's not like you're going to live your life in that ambulance box all day. I mean, you're going to see other things in the hospital. You're dropping patients off. And I think it's really cool that they've broadened it. So the rides are really good at saying, do you want to do EMS? And if not, it's still giving you a really, really good opportunity to see the whole world of emergency medicine.
Welcome to the Voices United in Education podcast. Each week, we showcase the teachers, administrators, and community members who go the extra mile to contribute to the success of every student in Escambia County. You'll meet the real people behind the titles and learn about the amazing resources to support every student's success. We all want every child in Escambia County to get as much of a head start in life as they possibly can. My next guests are examples of how schools and community employment opportunities can unite to provide students with options that they can explore hands-on. They are the director of the Academy of Critical Care and Emergency Medicine at West Florida High School and a graduate of that program who is now a flight nurse medic at Life Flight Pensacola. Today, they're going to share how West Florida's unique EMT program contributes to the success of students and saves lives. Florida locals, EMT mentor and success story, Terry Thomas and Dakota Ward. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You must be a super proud papa to see Dakota, in the program, graduated the program, and now, he's doing well. That must feel amazing.
It does, just to be able to see the progression he's gone through, and he really represents the epitome of what these programs are all about and how they function and what you would expect as a diamond outcome.
Well, no pressure, Dakota, on how you respond today to the questions because you are the epitome and diamond outcome.
I kid you not.
Yeah, I like to be a little more humble than that, but it definitely is a thing that we can progress through, and definitely the program put me on my way to my career choices for sure.
And it's really, I love hearing how many teachers in the community have inspired other teachers in the community to, come up through the ranks. And so I'm curious, Terry, what inspired you to get into the field of EMT and become a teacher?
Well, it was a cold, frosty morning. Well, I won't go back that far, but I will go back.
Is that your birth story you're about to share?
Kind of, but I will go back to the birth of my curiosity about it. When I was 12 years old, I was in a school where my sister worked, and my little classmate was in there with me, and her mother worked in there. We were in the office. A sudden clap of thunder turned the lights off. She jumped in my lap. 3 seconds later, the lights came on. Barbara got up, and I went home. I lived right by the school. My father and I went to go to the store, and I looked up at the school, and black smoke was boiling out the end of the school in Laurel Hill, Florida. It burned down to the ground. That day, I saw a firefighter bunker out, air pack, everything, and crawl under a burning building, and I was amazed at that. Then in high school, I saw a frogman pull a drowned body out of the river. And when I joined the Air Force, they said, "What job would you like?" I said, "Firefighter." So that's how I started, and I ended up going to paramedic school. During that period of time, I went to nursing school, and then I've worked in several different places in nursing and fire and different places. So that's how I got started.
Wow. That's a pretty incredible story. Dakota, I don't think you can top that, but I would like to know your origin story, sir.
He can.
Well, I don't think I can top it, but I can definitely say that it started with that program for sure. So when I entered West Florida High School in my freshman year, I thought I wanted to do sports med, which no shame to those that do that. That's awesome. But that's what I thought I wanted to do. But we got to go around and actually tour the different programs. They called it Blueprint at the time. And I got to watch Terry here, or Mr. Thomas. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to call you now.
He calls me Terry now. It's really
T-Dog.
It kind of rubs on me every time he does it, but I'm all right.
You never know. So I got to watch him. We did an open house and talked about EMS, and it really intrigued me. I had never considered it up until that point. So it was something that really opened my eyes to the field. I got to watch him call up a volunteer and put them in fire boots and hold up if those who are familiar with an AED, the things that shock you on the wall. He made a nervous volunteer hold up the pads as he shocked it. And he was like, watch for the arc. And this person was shaking in their boots. And I thought it was hilarious. So I knew we'd get along. And of course, it's the trainer. It does absolutely nothing. It's very anticlimactic, but it was a good bit. And went through the program, decided to join the EMS program. It was just very intriguing, very exciting. I tend to be an adrenaline guy, I think. And we did another open house. Or not open house, it was more of a career fair thing at the local college. And what my now current employer landed out the helicopter out there for this career field that was health-minded. It was nursing. It was all allied health. And I was like, I want to do that 100%. That's what I'm doing. And every career goal from that point, which was launched from the high school experience, led me to that direction.
That is so cool.
So I went to EMT, went to paramedic, ultimately went to nursing school as well. So,
right, because you're not just a medic, you're a nurse flight medic. Did I get that right?
I think on paper I'm a flight nurse is my job title, but I'm also a paramedic, so I can fill either seat. In the helicopter, it's normally a pilot, a nurse, and a medic. Of course, there's exceptions to that with different programs, but so I can sit in either seat. I can be a flight nurse for the day or flight medic for the day. The job description is really very similar. It doesn't really change my day-to-day.
What is the difference?
Different specialties, different perspectives you're coming from. The helicopters do scene work, like, what people mostly think of with car crashes and stuff out in their kind of trauma stuff. But we also do a lot of transfers where we're in the hospital in ICU transporting patients. And so they kind of take the perspective from each of those crew members. And, you've got some good field experience, you've got some good critical care nursing experience, and you put them together and it's a really good team.
Okay. So is that a typical progression of an EMT career? Like, is that what people aspire to achieve?
I'd like to think, it's definitely what I wanted to achieve. It's not for everybody. But I have watched a lot of people come up through. I was also an adjunct instructor for an EMT program for a bit. And some people use the EMT program as a way to get hours for higher level learning, such as PA or med school. It's a really good way to get patient contact hours while they go through school and get their undergrad. And they can launch that way, or they can do the progression that I did, where I went EMT to paramedic to nurse. Some people go straight to nursing, and that's all. That's just, it depends on the person and what their goals are. Okay,
so there's a lot of flexibility, but it can mean, a career bump and pay bump for somebody that's, thinking about this career.
Absolutely. You're never locked into, if you choose to do EMT, that's just the first step. You can be an EMT for life if you want to be, or you can use it as a stepping stone.
Interesting. So paint me a picture, Terry. What does the EMT program at the school look like?
Okay. One, I have to clarify misconceptions. It's not an EMT program.
Oh, okay.
It's an emergency medical responder program.
What's the difference? What would be the difference?
An emergency medical responder is the very first step on the journey. It's not an employable certification. EMT is an employable state certification. So you have to be 18 and complete a certified EMT school to take the state board to be an EMT. The program that I have, their primary industry certification is certified EKG technician, and they can get the EMR, which is a step on the road to becoming an EMT or a paramedic. But the progression of it is they come into the 9th grade. We teach them anatomy and physiology. The next year we teach them all.
That's big right there. Anatomy and physiology as a 9th grader. Is it the same level that you would be taking as when you start to your journey to become a nurse, where you have to learn the names of everything and have it memorized?
It's introductory anatomy and physiology. So, but yes, it is. It can be quite intense for them. And I've had 9th grade students run for cover when they found out what they had to learn and get into other programs. And, mom and daddy got involved. And it's like, is it going to be this way? Yes, it's going to be this way. This is, AMP is the fundamental, really, science for anybody in healthcare, and then you add in chemistry and all the other things that are prerequisite. But they start in AMP in the 9th grade, and then the next year they do a program. It's called Foundations, but it's all about careers and what the opportunities are. And then they get heavily into medical terminology, and they have to learn, all these fundamental skills. In the 11th grade, I teach all the juniors how to read EKGs for the first time, and they don't have any previous experience to learn this material. It's completely new to them, and sometimes their eyes get really big and they're not quite sure how this is going to happen. But there's a semester of that. And then the next semester, I teach them dosages and solutions, how to do the math associated with pharmacology.
That's
and then
major.
I do a pharmacology section and a couple other things that they find to be quite intense in their 11th grade year. And they do something called Capstone at West Florida High School, which is their research project in their 11th grade year. And then when they become a senior, they diverge into their particular academies. So I get all the seniors that are in my academy. Pre-nursing, they go their way. Sports medicine goes their way, and the twain shall never meet again.
So they still do it the same way as when I went through, where all of the, I'll just call them allied health programs, pre-nursing, sports med, your critical care program, that all, you may be intermingled with other cohorts. And then it's not until your senior year you break into your career specialty.
Correct.
And I always thought that was really cool, like looking back on it, because it's very preparatory for college. It's almost like these are your prerequisites for your degree. And I mean, it's just like a college program when you get into your senior year of something, and now you get into the actual meat and potatoes of your field. So I thought that was really cool. It kind of gave you an idea of what to expect when you went on to secondary education.
Yeah, I would think so too. I would also think that it would kind of weed out the students that maybe just thought it was a good idea, but then through anatomy class, that would be me. I'd be out after anatomy class. I can't memorize all this stuff. And so that way the kids that are all the way to their senior year following this track, they're, I think more equipped. Would you agree for, success in the actual field? Because even as literal children, they made it through these courses.
And that's what I'm saying is you're coming into there 14 years old.
Yeah.
You think, oh, I want to do something health related, and then you take the first A&P class and realize I don't care about mitochondria, and that's the powerhouse of the cell. Right. I'm going to go do a different program, and they get a chance to change it at least once or no. Or
the opportunities are less to do that now because it's not really efficient and. But it does happen sometimes. They'll change programs just when they find out what I teach. There's a run for the hills sometimes. So, and that's one of the purposes of doing it. They understand that I'm not that interested in this. And then when they get into their senior year and they do their clinicals and their ride-alongs, that's really the first time that they touch actual human beings. Yes. And that changes their mind sometimes.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. What is the impact of the ride-alongs? Why are they important?
It's the critical component of the entire program, and we have a wonderful business partner, Escambia County EMS. They provide the opportunity every year for my seniors to go do 4 13-hour rides on an ambulance, and that is a game changer. They go out there and they find out what Dakota does every day. And I think right now Escambia County EMS averages about 192 calls every day.
What? Every day?
Every day.
It's a super busy agency for sure.
Super busy. And so when they go, they're completely immersed in the environment. If they have cardiac arrest, they're going to be helping them do CPR and managing an airway and bagging the person who's not breathing and doing whatever they have to do. So they're exposed to things they never really imagined. And so at that point, I told the parents in open house, if you want to know what your child's going to do as a senior, if they're in this program, I can't tell you. I don't know what they're going to have to do.
Because of the unpredictability of it.
Because of the unpredictability and actually the predictability of it. It's going to happen, right? And so I tell them that if you want to really know what's going to go on in that ambulance for those 4 13-hour rides, go home and watch the news. And that'll give you a really good idea of what's going to happen on that ambulance.
So are the students hands-on with patients when they're in the ambulance?
I mean, they're largely observational just because they're with the crew that's going to be doing their normal job. But like he said, I mean, we've had students that have been able to do chest compressions. And I mean, they're just getting a really front row view of this situation.
Wow. And what was your ride-along like? What was the impact that it had on you?
I don't remember anything specific about it other than I just was eat up with it. I mean, it was, fire passion.
Really?
This is what I want to do.
Like you kind of sealed the deal ninth grade, when you had that experience in ninth grade, and then the other career fair, and then it just triple sealed
Oh yeah,
the deal.
there was no question. I really feel bad for people who are like, I don't know really what I want to do when they're graduating, they're picking their major. I mean, it's a big bummer, and it's a big decision when you're 17, 18 years old. But
totally.
Luckily, I never had that problem. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but it was only because of this program. Otherwise, I probably would have been just flying blind like everybody else. That what am I going to do when I grow up? I'm still trying to figure that out. But the ride-alongs were great. I don't think we got 4 though. I think we got 2.
No, you got 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3, whatever. I think it was 2.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I do remember that there are some students that decide this is not for them. And it's a good way for them to say, okay, this is not for me. But it's only a piece of it. I mean, I think they've morphed the program from an EMS fire perspective to this now critical care program where it's very much more broad now.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you have 192 calls a day, you're more likely to have a call like that than a fire call.
True. But even wider, like nursing, PA, med school, all the things that they're teaching in this program. I learned EKGs in paramedic school, and I learned EKGs in nursing school, and I already knew it. So it's very broad. So if I do my ride along and discover either A, I love this, which I did, or B,
your face lights up just when you say that. It's cracking me up, like how much excitement is coming from you on a job that you already have. It's not like the future or something you're going to aspire to. You are totally lit up. People can't see you right now. Obviously, they're just hearing this. But I want the audience to know your face is literally beaming every time you say, talk about it. It's pretty incredible.
Love what you do, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where I was at with that.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So if they do the ambulance, and they say, man, I like the emergency side of this, you've got a lot of options you can do. Because when you're taking these patients on the ambulance, you're going to drop off in the ER. So maybe in your mind as a student, you're thinking, I don't really want to be a paramedic or an EMT, but an ER nurse sounds cool.
Oh.
Or an ER physician sounds cool.
Okay.
You're seeing all of it because it's not like you're going to live your life in that ambulance box all day. I mean, you're going to see other things in the hospital. You're dropping patients off. And I think it's really cool that they've broadened it. So the rides are really good at saying, do you want to do EMS? And if not, it's still giving you a really, really good opportunity to see the whole world of emergency medicine, which, even now the program's not even strictly emergency medicine. Now it's going into critical care, which is where ICU level stuff again.
In the first year, in the senior year, in their first semester, they actually, our other awesome business partners, Baptist Healthcare. And so Miss Jennifer Grove at Baptist Healthcare has paved the way for me to be able to get these high school students into every intensive care unit, the recovery room, all those places in the hospital where you have very sick, ventilated, hemodynamically unstable patients. And so the seniors do 16 hours, 2 days. We go up there for 2 days, and they rotate through the ER and places like that to see these sick patients. So they have an idea of where they're taking patients when they finally get them on an ambulance in the second semester. So they get a cycle of it. So it's an umbrella of healthcare, not just EMS, although that's, one of the focuses of the program, but they see what anesthesia does. They see what the critical care nurse does at the bedside. They see what the CCU nurse does with heart attacks and ECMO and ventilators, and it's quite technical, and they get an eyeful.
I could really see how this program, especially those interactive aspects of this program, would benefit parents and students because, like you were saying, Dakota, about, you're 17, 18 trying to decide what you want to be when you grow up. But as a parent, you're thinking, what am I paying you to be when you grow up, right? And so if the student can weed out if this is a good career path for them on the front end before the parents takes out student loans, et cetera, then that's really helping our whole community's economy, right? Because then you have fewer students with student loan debt potentially that they're not even in the field, to be able to pay off.
And what's the risk? I mean, at the end of the day, say you don't want to do medical at all. A&P is an elective course. So you've already been introduced to that. The biology will be very science heavy with like biology and A&P. And like you're saying, you could do anything really. I mean, this is just an idea. Hopefully the students love it, but you can take very similar classes and you're already going to be prepped for college courses, even if you just an elective A&P.
It's not a pigeonhole program because you have to realize they're in public high school and it's all being paid for by you and I, our tax dollars. And this senior in high school can get their industry certification as an EKG technician. If they went to a community college and took that very same course, it would cost them somewhere in the neighborhood, and I may get chastised, but a little over $3,000. So that's an opportunity for them to get a certification that they got in high school, and they wouldn't have to pay for that. So the umbrella's wide. They could go into respiratory therapy or nursing or just any area in healthcare, but they don't have to go into healthcare at all. Right. They're taking calculus in high school. They're taking all their other maths and sciences and histories. It's a wall-to-wall academy high school that we have at West Florida, and they have an opportunity to see it and do it and choose it if they choose to.
That's pretty incredible. And you, as Dakota, as a someone who went through the program, fell in love with it head over heels, and are successfully in it, in real life, what qualities would you say would make a good prospective student of this program? Like, so imagine, a parent is listening to this and they're trying to suss out, is my kid a good candidate for this potentially? What qualities would you think they should look for?
I don't know that it has to be, excluding anybody. Anybody who wants to do it. I mean, it's like we said, these kids are coming in very young. Their personalities are going to change and grow, and if they love it, they'll go towards it. If not, I mean, though I think the people who are like myself, who maybe like a little more excitement, want to be outside, maybe don't want to work that desk job that they're, seeing like maybe their parents do. Like they don't want to work in a cubicle. I mean, it's a great way to be outside and still do things. Now, obviously, hospital's inside, so I have to mention that as well. But it's not, your normal office work. So, if somebody wants to do something a little different and have fun, and every day's different, if you're not one for a huge routine, maybe their kids are off the walls a little bit and don't like to do the same thing every day, this would be a good one to jump into. That's
really good information to know. What would you say, Terry, that people misunderstand the most about this program?
That it's an umbrella program, that is not a pigeonhole. They hear the words EMS, they hear the words emergency medicine, but it's a critical care emergency medicine introductory program. And all the things that we focus on are focused towards those areas, but they can take this foundational, basic introductory knowledge and apply it to, they can go be a lawyer if they want to. Maybe they'll do personal injury and they'll know about anatomy and physiology, or they'll have an idea about what happens when a person has a motor vehicle accident, but they're a lawyer, but they have this background knowledge. Maybe they're going to be somebody who puts emphasis into raising a family. Well, their children are safer because of what they learned in high school. So the students that leave my program, I feel like we're sending out a support to the community in many ways, not just individually for them, for their education, but how are you a benefit to the community at large, and they learn skills that are applicable in many, many different areas.
Well said.
That was beautiful.
That was.
Sweet.
And I feel like we should snap. That was beautiful. No, it really was.
I'm sorry.
It really was. Because I think about, how many of us don't even know how to live in our own bodies, right? Like my arm hurts, and you go to the doctor. What do they say? What kind of hurt is it? And you're like, what do you mean? Do you remember the first time the doctor asked you that? You probably don't, because you were like all in it. Well, me, as a normal person who never took, any anatomy class, I was like, what do you mean? It hurts. There's one word for that. What are you talking about, doc? But to be able to
let's test up. Tell us about hurt.
What about it?
Describe it. How can you describe hurt? Tell me about your pain, Duck. You're having pain. What kind of pain are you having?
Well, it could be, radiating, or it could be piercing, burning, all those things you learn in the
crushing.
Yeah, correct.
Squeezing.
Could be.
Yeah.
Heavy pressure.
Heavy pressure.
Wow. See? These are great adjectives, guys. Thank you for that. If a
I'm
parent,
so proud of him. You just don't realize what it's like to see him have evolved into this thing that he is. And now he teaches me stuff. So it impresses me.
That's pretty awesome. It
is. I like it.
If a parent is listening to this and wants to get their student involved, what's their first step?
Come to open house at West Florida High School. Bring your 8th grader up there. Let them see all the programs, and then pick the one that's best for your child, not the one that's best for your child's friends. I don't care about your child's friends. They'll be in their own program. So if you have a child that's interested in science, that has a fairly gregarious personality, that can follow directions and be obedient and be vetted as to somebody who I would let go ride on an ambulance or go to an intensive care unit, then come to that open house, make the application at West Florida. Then there's a fairly significant vetting process at that point, and if they're chosen, they would get to come to that magnet school and start that journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. This was very cool. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and share. Voices United in Education is a production of Escambia County Public Schools.